Ghost Ship by Dr. Higginson. Beneath the stormy waves the ghost ship plunged, and out of sight we hoped she was now done, and quick was our attention rest that night. With awful weather we forgot that sight. And yet the truth, the ship forsook us not, but under raging seas it passed unfraught. It under our small boat did sailing come, while we above did fight to save our rum. To keep the demon's drink from devil's sea, the crew, doomed men, performed most valiantly. You rum runners, who in the night's reproach poison delivered to the decent folk, beware, sailors, the ghost ship in your wake. Beware, good men, the paths that you now take. The storm abated, once 3 men were lost. The third, once falling in the waves that tossed, did quell the fury of that mystic gale, but killed the wind, and thus went slack our sail, putting an end to this our raft's swift flight. The fog dreadful and thick rolled in that night. We struck a light, for that did lanterns glow, and thus we came to learn of our deep woe. And terror cried the men of rippling shoals, 'twas to the rudder, else to lose our souls. You rum runners, who in the night's dark depths your rum you run in poor weak hearts affect, beware, sailors, the ghost ship in your wake. Beware, good men, the paths that you now take. A breadth of hair was all we could create between ourselves and such disastrous fate, of running ground within a clouding bank, gutting our hull before we doomed men sank. But missing bubbling ocean's shallow broth, all eyes then turned to see the raging froth. A mind afraid that tried to pierce the dark, and what I saw I was declined to hark. Its form was gone before my thoughts were born, and veiled in mists, the ghost ship I'd have sworn. O rum runners that only sail disguised, a source of pain to those whom you despise, beware, sailors, the ghost ship in your wake. Beware, good men, the paths that you now take. Methinks I saw it rising from the blue, the deep adorned in somber blackish hue, its frothing bow upturned to pierce the sky, her splashing sails making salt water fly. Those shoals we thought a rudder would avoid, was merely how that slaver's galley toyed with us, her chosen prey in winter's cold. At least I thought before the fog enrolled. Thus failed I chide myself for foolish fears, thereby ignoring splashing I could hear. O rum runners, sailing when all else sleep, who tempt men from the promises they'd keep, beware, sailors, the ghost ship in your wake. Beware, good men, the paths that you now take. But splish and splash we hear her ghostly oars, beating the water, yet our crew ignores, foretelling signs of time's unfolding course, and of those sounds forget the frightful source. Now with sail slack we drifting smugglers, slowly careen as fruitless strugglers, now cursing devil and his firebrand, then pleading saints entreat with wrenching hands. We sow our fortune in this contrary way, beseeching any who o'er fate hold sway. Dear rum runners, who pray with cursing lips, wishing thyself in cargo safely ships, beware, sailors, the ghost ship in your wake. Beware, good men, the paths that you now take. No wind would come to aid us in our need, nor would the sky with treasures thereby lead, to harbors safe and buyers ready cash. Bemoaning this sad state I spy a flash, and through the fog it shines like a lit match. With anxious peering eyes I try to catch some sight of this strange softly glowing orb. The light a shadow casts on our starboard, a manly form to us sailors well known, a crewman lost to sea, one of our own. Dear rum runners, divested of your luck, who with familiar spooks are suddenly struck, beware, sailors, the ghost ship in your wake. Beware, good men, the paths that you now take. Out of the shadow's mouth a pipe protrudes, the outline of our own late Mr. Hughes, who was last seen devoured by dark waves, now upon our beating hearts and graves, a marring terror, freezing cold our blood, while drifting helplessly through this world's flood. Upon the implement the light descends, and suddenly the obscuring fog rends. We see through it lost Hughes before a man, a tall and cloaked figure, the ship's captain. Lost rum runners, locked in hopeless toil, who never will again see the soil, beware, sailors, the ghost ship in your wake. Beware, good men, the paths that you now take. The captain lit Hughes's ivory pipe, and in that glinting flare we saw a stripe. The captain's face in shadows featureless was cut across by thin reflectiveness. A cruel smile all weak sailors could spy, nothing of chin nor lips nor nose nor eyes. He was only shadows with sharpened teeth. Hughes muttered something rather short and brief. The captain flicked his wrist and killed the match. The captain flicked his wrist and killed the match, and thus he from our sight the vision snatched. Lost rum runners running from deadly waves, fleeing a ghostly ship hungry for slaves. Beware, sailors, the ghost ship in your wake. Beware, good men, the paths that you now take. He snuffed the match and laughed a bitter laugh, then waxed the fog so I could see but half our ship through thickly growing atmosphere. So over our small vessel icy fear like rain descended, pelting the ship's crew, who dumbly stood waiting as silence grew. The lamp flickered, we all our breath intook, holding till our beleaguered craft was shook. In sudden stormy waves our hull was tossed, the dying light went out, we all were lost. Doomed rum runners, destined to watery graves, who yearn to see sun dancing on the waves. Beware, sailors, the ghost ship in your wake. Beware, good men, the paths that you now take. We rocked and swayed while voices screamed in need. The crew's lamenting, begging tones thus plead, in final desperate strait, calling for me. Their captain saved them from bedeviled sea. But what could this mere man hope to achieve, when facing off against oceans aggrieved? Immortal powers hungered for our souls, conspiring to drag us to Sheol. They called for help until their crying ceased, the silence bearing witness their deceased. Doomed rum runners lost battling the seas, your paths now ended without rest nor peace. Beware, sailors, the ghost ship in your wake. Beware, good men, the paths that you now take. And so abandoned on my ship was I, alone, no longer hearing my crew cry, except it were in some unhallowed way, their shades calling to me from out of the grave. Unstilled she hungered yet unsatisfied by wanton act, barbaric filicide, the sea raging, though all I had she stole, the only parts were left my boat and soul. Then I prayed to my Father whom I feared, that to his home heavenly I'd be steered. Dead rum runners, lacking no mean virtue, this warning heed, advice given to you. Beware, sailors, the ghost ship in your wake. Beware, good men, the paths that you now take. The sky tore not asunder, nor the mist retreating let me past its shaded mists. No way my eyes saw opened by my God, no miracle perceived in mortal odd. But all that came in my affliction heard, rid hall of rum commands the holy word. To ocean-swallowed men I rum commend, the damned drink to hell thus I rescend. I hack the ropes binding the barrels down, along the heaving deck they roll around. Dead rum runners, my crew sinking below, receive this gift to aid you through your woe. Beware, sailors, the ghost ship in your wake. Beware, good men, the paths that you now take. The plink and plunk of barrels raining down did by their fall relieve with that sweet sound the boisterous screams of the unnatural storm. So falling in returned the sea to the norm, yet one less barrel in those easy sways of still darkness before glorious rays. Breaking dawn sought long by mariners past, along the deck from fore rolls to aft. Temptation viewed, I quickly moved to save, final remnant that did my crew enslave. Unmindful captain, what is it you do? This one unheedful act surely you'll rue. Beware, captain, the ghost ship in your wake. Beware, proud man, the path that you now take. My hand reached out to touch that wayward rum, forgetting from what dark course I had come. But then I saw her sinking in the sea, as like the sore and tired whale, which flees hunters, succumbing to a bloody death, so dying dives beyond the ocean's depth. The wrecked ghost ship crumbled, timber and mold, disintegrating in the flood of old. 'Twas there my crew I saw loading barrels, and knew their voices singing strange carols. Unmindful captain, where is it you go, to harbor a home or join us in our woe? Beware, captain, the ghost ship in your wake. Beware, proud man, the path that you now take. And so I left the rum to roll away, before the sun to usher in the day sends golden rays enlightening dark skies. The sea, accepting this my final prize, relieves the shadow cast by the unknown vessel. For then it was the sunlight shone, and incorporeal the ship became, thus vanishing like smoke from dying flame. Now hark, the sun awaited rum's descent, and God his light withheld ere I repent. Life's mariners reading my ghostly tale, If fear be kind, let this word fill your sail. Beware, sailors, the ghost ship in your wake. Beware, good men, the paths that you now take.